Yes, everybody, how are we all doing? Sam here, Dan and Nick, the latest episode of United People's Podcast, and we're here after another bloody 2-2 draw, another game where United were 1-0 up away from home at half-time, and then went 2-1 down, and then got an equaliser. It's good. I know there are improvements. We're undefeated in 5. We're going to run through the positives from that game and the obvious negatives that we can take away from it. It's another long old international break, but United are going into it, I think, 7th in the table. Dan? How you doing, buddy?
Oh, good. Above Liverpool as well. What more could you want?
Mate, they are really quite shit. Nick, how you doing, man? You went to the game on Saturday, right?
I did. Yeah, I did. It was mixed experience. So anyone who doesn't know, I was sadly sat with the Spurs fans, which was...
Grim.
Yes, quite funny at the end, though. And also quite funny when they were getting head loss at various things throughout the game. Like we kind of said this before the game, like they were waiting for just something to bite on, and any given moment to jump on something, they were right there. So that was funny. And yeah, we'll get into it a little bit more.
Yeah, so obviously the Spurs game, look, you all know what the result was. I went into that game confident that United could take advantage of, as we spoke about, a Spurs team that's a little bit on the edge, a Spurs stadium that was a little bit on the edge. And it's exactly how that first half played out, Dan. Spurs just had no quality whatsoever. I don't think we played particularly great. I don't think we needed to in that first half. Their first shot on target was, the 55th minute? It was a great goal, by the way. Ahmad, it looked almost effortless, just a little dink in and boom out the back stick. But United could have and should have, I think, been more than one up. And then the second half played out. And I think that's probably what my focus is going to be in this pod and what we talk about is what is going on with United in second halves. Have a little listen to this clip. This is Ruben Amorim speaking after the game and something that he admitted.
I think if you look at the game, it was there. The 3 points was there to take, and you can felt the environment. We were comfortable in the game. I think we can be so much better and to understand what's happened in the game.
So Amorim there saying that, the 3 points were there for the taking, Dan. I mean, they absolutely were. And I'm not sure if you've seen this, right? If there's 2 Premier League tables, right? One's for the first half and one's for the second half. Where do you think United rank in terms of performances in the first halves in the Premier League this season, Nick? I'll go to you first.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know because it's going to annoy me. There you go.
Top of the table.
There you go.
Top of the table. Second half, Dan. Where do you think we rank in the second halves?
Now, I did watch your What We Learned video, so I do know the answer. Unfortunately, 18th.
Top tier.
Was it?
Mate, 18th. 17th or 18th. It's like, fuck it. I didn't realise how extreme the split was. How much better we are. We're literally the best in the league in the first half. Can somebody please explain to me? I know we'll get into the subs, we'll get into Ugarte and Casemiro and key things that happened. But Dan, what is it the lack of control? Is it the personnel? Is it the midfield? What is causing this second half shift with United? Because it's happened twice in a row, and it's been happening all season.
Subs do come into it, but I think it's a fact of United have so much control in the first half, or they feel like they're on the front foot for most of the first half. And then all of a sudden, coming out of the dressing room, I don't know whether they're not fired up enough by the manager or by the fellow teammates to go out and get another. I don't know why this team just seems to sort of not gas out in a way, but lets the game just go by them very, very easily. And it's really frustrating to watch because it's like you want to get on the field and just shout at them to say, wake up. And then when they eventually do wake up, 2 goals have gone in the back of the net. So I don't know what it's down to be honest, because you've got leaders on that pitch who should be navigating this team through the 2 goals, obviously. And if it's not the first goal, something has to change. United just still can't stay in the same system when they concede a goal. Something has to change.
It's like the way that Amorim spoke after the game, it didn't sound like he sent that team out in the second half, Nick, and said, look, sit deeper, sit defensive. I think we were kind of holding out for the 1-0. It seemed like that's the way it was going. But it seemed like Amorim was a little bit annoyed. The fact that we didn't have that. Spurs were better in the second half, yeah, sure. But they still weren't exactly good, man.
No, they weren't. But so Spurs ramped it up in the second half, similar to Forest. Forest did it much quicker. They came out in the first 5-10 minutes and were right on us. Spurs ramped it up a little bit in the start of the second half, but then they pushed on even more towards the end because they really needed a goal, right? I think my problem with this Man United team right now, and I think just a problem that we have at the moment, is there are times where, like Dan said there, if we're not fired up and they're fired up, we match the tune of their game. So if they want to increase the pace and they want to start playing quick football, we don't know how to slow it down, calm things down, just get a hold of the ball and keep it for 5-10 minutes, quieten down the crowd, and just get hold of the game. Now, in this particular game, you can probably point to Casemiro leaving the pitch and Agate coming on. Casemiro much better at sniffing out danger, much better on the ball as well. So maybe you can say that's one point as to why we lost control. But against Forest, Casemiro was still on the pitch, right? So it can't always be a case of, are you more fired up than the opponent? Because we're not always going to be more fired up than the opponent. We're always the main event. People love to play against us. There are going to be a lot of times where the opponent are more up for it than we are. There needs to be more of an element of control in this Man United team. And this is where the two in midfield can make things difficult, but also profiles make it difficult. Because let's say you were playing a 4-3-3, and in midfield you had Bruno, Casemiro, and Cunha. That's still not 3 players who are going to help you control a game. So I think that's the frustrating thing for me right now in terms of what I'm seeing is there needs to be a moment where we just get hold of the ball and keep it and just calm things down, because towards the end, that's what we needed.
Man, how long have we been saying that? It's kind of why we all were so desperate for a midfielder in the summer. I think Ruben spoke about the January transfer window after, and if United have got the finances, it just makes sense to pull forward plans for the summer into January. But we've spoken about this already. Like, if you're Forest, you're not going to let go of Elliot Anderson for the World Cup. So it might just be that our targets. There's no point signing a midfielder for the sake of signing a midfielder. So it might be that we get snookered in that sense. But it's just, it's kind of like, on the one hand, we're undefeated in 5. We've, again, gone behind. That's Anfield and Forest and Spurs as well, where we've gone behind and we've come to get a result. And De Ligt's header was mint. Like De Ligt again, I think in every game, the aggression of De Ligt, I hope that really is infectious, if you want to call it that, because he's not just like crazy aggressive and just like lunging into every tackle. He picks and chooses, but his decision making has been really, really good this season, and it was great to see him get a goal. I was happy about that. On the one hand, you've got the positives of being undefeated in 5, and you see United multiple times now are not just crumbling in those moments in games where otherwise they would have gone, we conceded, like cry, like woe is me. But then on the other hand, like that's 4 points, I think. Would you say it's 4 points dropped in these last 2 games? I think the Spurs one, does that annoy me more than Nottingham Forest does? I think it probably does.
Maybe, because although with that Forest one, we felt like we could probably win it at the end. You think about the Ahmad chance, Sesko's chance at the end, and we'll come on to him in a minute because there were 2 opportunities which I thought that he should have scored at least one of them. But this team, like, I'll go back to what you said, that this team shows real resilience and a lot of character. And we always, especially in the past couple of podcasts across the 2 weeks, we've said that United didn't show this last year. But this year they're starting to develop and starting to mould into a team who can believe, who can come back when no one else thinks they can. I mean, I thought we were dead and out. I didn't think that De Ligt would have got that goal. I didn't think United would have scored another goal. So the resilience this season is shown, and it's just keeping building on these results, even though it's a draw. Put these past 5 games into perspective and throw that into last season. Everyone would have took that in a heartbeat. So I think some people just need to realise that we've gone from here to here and we still need to get there. So there's a bit of realisation that probably needs to go on.
Yes, I think when it comes to United right now, that you can either be frustrated or positive, but those 2 things kind of exist at the same time. It feels like United right now, like we're stopping the floods, which is, we're coming back in games, we're showing some character, showing some resilience, becoming a little bit harder to beat. But at the same time, we're trying to renovate the house. But I know it's a really shit analogy, but it makes sense to me. So you can be positive about the fact that we're less shit because we're harder to beat, but then frustrated at the fact that we're not quite good enough to be seeing out these games where title challengers would. And it's because we're not title challengers yet, right? We're a team that's trying to sneak into the top 5 effectively is our ambition this season. And we're bang on for that right now. If I look at the table, I think we're 7th in the league. City, they're second on 22. We're 4 points still off second. We've played every team inside the top 8 apart from Villa. Our next 10 games are looking pretty, on paper, decent, right? And this is going to be the classic United. Oh, like, we've gone through the hard part, blah, blah, blah. We've got an opportunity, blah, blah, blah. This exact situation, we always fuck up. I think we lose 2-0 away at Wolves in their first manager's game or some shit like that. But, Nick, you were at the stadium, right? So, like, what was the experience there?
Yeah, so funnily enough, this is actually my second time going to this exact same game in this exact same stadium, and last time it was 2-2 as well. So that was the Marcus Rashford Sancho one. Don't know if you remember, we went 2-0 up and then they made it 2-2. One thing I will say, right, and we all know how bad Spurs have been at home, right? Their record at home since they basically built the stadium has been really, really poor. One thing I will say, right, before the game kicks off, there's so much, like, they got like a highlights show reel going on. They got announcers, they got music, they got highlights of Van der Ven's goal from the Champions League. It feels so Americanized, and there's so much going on that, you know, when you go in a stadium and you can kind of hear the atmosphere raise as the fans sort of fill into the stadium, you hear the away fans, you kind of get up for it. There's none of that at Tottenham, because all you can hear is this music blaring out super loud. So maybe that's got something to do with it. Maybe not. Maybe that's a bit old-fashioned, but it felt very, very Americanized to me. And then game kicks off, and Mbeumo gets the goal, and then, like I said, I can't celebrate. I'm sat there with my arms crossed, really trying to resist not jumping up or doing anything. But then what I was quite unlucky in was that, so I saw the Mbeumo goal on my side, which was brilliant. But then both of Spurs' goals came on my side as well. And Richarlison ran directly, like, in front of where I was sat, more or less. And I was watching,
humbug.
yeah, literally. I mean, he was in tears, wasn't he? And then I was watching Match of the Day, and I've caught myself in the crowd amongst all the Spurs fans who are all jumping up and down, and I'm just sat there in my body warmer, cap on, sat there looking grumpy as anything. But then when the Ligt got the equaliser, all the fans were leaving the stadium, so I got a little something back there. But yeah, overall, and the away fans as well, I have to say, brilliant again, as per usual.
You can feel it. You can feel that United are getting better. You can feel that United are not as bad as they were last season, but we're still stumbling. We're still, like, it's almost like baby steps, really, with this team currently. Like, obviously, Mbeumo, Player of the Month, got the goal. Who else do you want to speak about? I suppose we should focus on the subs, really, because I think that's going to be quite a big talking point for a lot of people. Now, I actually think a lot of the subs kind of made sense. Like Maguire, hamstring, he went off for Euro. Cunha for Mount. Genuinely, I think Mount could have started the game, so you can argue about that. I don't think Cunha had the most impactful of games anyway. Sesko coming on for Mazraoui, putting Ahmad to right wing back. Again, I thought those subs were bang on. With the Casemiro one, right? What do you think? Is it there's just an agreement that he can't play 90 minutes for United, Nick? Like, because he did it twice in a week with Brazil. So I don't know whether, obviously, the pace of international football is different to the Premier League. Is it just, has Amran got it in his head that Casemiro can't play 90 minutes?
Well, he has played 90 minutes this season on a few occasions. I mean, like you said there, he played twice in a row for Brazil 90 minutes and then came back. And if I'm not wrong, first game back, he played 90 minutes again. Am I right in saying that? Yeah, so he's obviously got it in him. And I don't feel like Casemiro is the type to, you know, want to go off if he doesn't feel it's absolutely necessary that he does. So a mix of both. I don't know. I don't know if Casemiro would have said something, I felt something, or I'm feeling fatigued. But it is a massive drop off when Agate comes on. And I don't mean to dig him out, but even the first goal when Odobert sort of ran off him, I thought to myself, Casemiro wouldn't have let that happen, in my opinion. So it's a troublesome position for us.
Am I just not giving enough credit to Casemiro? Am I not seeing how, obviously, in terms of goal contributions, he's delivering. In terms of how many goals we concede on the pitch with him on versus without him on, very, very different. It's exactly, so basically follows that what I told you about how much better United are in the first half versus second halves. What is it about Casemiro going off, Dan, that you think creates this problem? Is it just the fact that Ugarte is just shit, or is it the fact that the players are Casemiro's off from what they've lost the leader on the pitch. Like what is it? Like what is it that Casemiro's exit is doing to this team?
I think both of those points are pretty strong and valid because I think Casemiro came off virtually at the same time as Maguire, I think. So sort of losing two leaders in quite quick succession away at Spurs as well. It's quite a hard ground to go to, as we know. United haven't won there in now 8 games. So I don't know why you'd take sort of that spine out of the team and the leaders who have been there against Spurs before for sort of inexperienced players, but players who haven't got that level of leadership and who can get a team over the line. And it's no coincidence when two leaders go off, United end up conceding 2 goals. Like it's there, it's blatantly obvious. So I don't know why Emery's done that. And then the other factor, like you said, is that Agate simply isn't good enough. And looking back on it, United shouldn't have really signed him because he's not fit into any system that we've tried, any formation we've tried, and under 2 managers, and he's not really done that great of a deal, to be honest. So I don't know. With Agate, I think it's only a matter of time before he leaves.
Yeah, I won't disagree on that one. Ugarte's not. He's good out of possession, but I don't even think he's been good out of possession this season, if I'm being honest. Not in the same way that he was last season. There's certain game states and moments where I think he can be an asset, but largely he's just not. Obviously, there was a lot of talk this week after what Neville said about Sesko. We spoke about him, and I was a bit annoyed. Before the game, Amrin was really quite passionately defending Sesko and sort of explaining about his striker. He's not too worried about form or anything like that. He knows he'll come good. He's now worried about him after this game because of what looks like it might be a knee injury. No confirmation as to how bad it was, but if it's a knee, I think they kind of always err on the side of precaution. So good international break in that sense. It's timed well. But what did you make, Nick, of... Dan, actually, you were the one who said that he had 2 opportunities. The one I can remember is obviously the pass from Mason Mount, which to me looks like if Sesko just lets that roll across his body and hits it first time on his left foot, there's no chance of Van der Ven to come back in. Now, maybe it's easy in hindsight for me to say that, but Sesko can spank him off both feet. Like he doesn't need to be in a particular position with a particular foot to hit a shot. He just likes. I'm surprised he took that touch. Like, what did you make of his performance, and what do you make about the comments around Sesko right now, Dan?
With that chance, you've explained it brilliantly there. I think he's got to take it first time. He knows Van der Ven's on his tail, so he's just got to hit it first time. And another point that I want to bring up that not many people are talking about is we're sort of in the same situation as that we had with Højlund, where Højlund's got no one to learn off that's experienced and seasoned in the Premier League. So Sesko's almost going into the dressing room as really the only striker. I know you've got Xerxes, but you need someone who's a little bit more proven than Xerxes to learn off. So the advice that he's getting is obviously he's going to progress, but he needs that Cavani next to him to support him and nurture him. And if he doesn't have that, his progression might not be as quick. He will get to a point where he will be very good and be worthy of being United's striker and head of the team. But it goes back to what I said with Højlund, like you've got to have that support system behind him. And if he's not got it, he's not going to excel as quickly. But I do think that some of the criticism about him not scoring as many goals is a little bit unfair because I think last season in the Bundesliga, he scored 13 goals. But from the eye test, if you were to look at him, the goals that were spreading across the rest of that Leipzig team and this United team this season with Mbeumo and Cunha, his all-around game is important to this squad. So,
yeah, well, I'll be honest. I'm not really worried about Sesko, Nick. Not in any sense. There's no anybody who's trying to pull up actual Højlund comparisons. I think is looking for a lazy headline. But I think a confident Sesko spanks that first time on his left foot, without question.
Yeah, agreed. See, I think when you sort of delve into it and look at the sort of details of those 2 scenarios, I think it can be easy to think of that little cameo as a negative from Sesko. But I actually think it's largely positive because he came on with not a lot of time left and he was through on goal on 2 occasions. Now, if he had started the game, he might have had a lot more influence than he did in just that short space amount of time because we didn't actually create a lot. And when he did come on, like I said, there was 2 opportunities that he was through on goal. One of them, which came from his actual him winning the header. So when he came on, he gave us a bit of a focal point. So I think it's easy to, like Dan said, look at the goals or the lack of goals, I should say. But his overall game is actually really good. And I've had this debate with an Arsenal friend of mine where I say, fine, Gyökeres might score more goals this season, but Sesko is a better player. He's a better footballer. And I'll stick by that. And one thing actually I asked Sam as well is, so I actually thought that, I don't know about you guys, but I think Amorim could have been a little bit braver in his selection from the get-go. Like, I think we said from the get-go, this Spurs team was there to be had. I wonder if he should have actually gone with an Ahmad instead of a Mazraoui out there, and then kept Sesko on. I think we could have been a little bit more attacking in this game, because actually we only had 5 shots, 2 on target, and those 2 were the goals. So we didn't create heaps of chances in this game.
I tell you what, like Mazraoui looks rusty. He looks rusty. I'm sure he'll come back, but I think I would have preferred Ahmad at right wing back. Obviously, Ahmad still got the assist. He's still impacted the game, but you can look at starting 11. Like the starting 11 for Liverpool, I was like, what the fuck was that? Oh, yeah, great, we won at Anfield. So I can't ever be too happy or too sad about a starting 11 that goes out, because sometimes they prove me wrong. I find myself in such a strange position, like seeing and hearing from a lot of United fans, and like, who was it? Charlie commented on the Instagram saying it feels like a loss. I think that one does feel like a loss, but we're right at that point now where we're starting to see a bit of progression, and then we're starting to go into games thinking, oh yeah, we can win this one. We can actually, all of us said, yeah, we can win away at Spurs. And then you don't come away from it with the win, and you drop some more points, and then you realise that United aren't quite there yet. And it's sort of, I suppose it's just a little bit of a disappointment. And I'm not going to call it a reality check, because I think that's a bit extreme. But we're still not quite at the point where we're going to be winning games consecutively, where we're not going to have stumbles, and we're going to keep stumbling. And we've got, who's our next 10 games?
I've got our next 5 here. So we've got Everton at home, then we've got Palace away, West Ham at home, Wolves away, Bournemouth at home.
I mean, don't talk to me about Bournemouth, lads.
Not
again.
Not again.
Not again.
But Palace away, they drew. Well, they were smashing at the start of the season, but they're kind of a little bit slowed down. By the time, I'm guessing Rob Edwards will be in at Wolves by the time we play them. Don't know how good he's going to be. I imagine Wolves are going down. I imagine they're finishing bottom of the league this year.
I think he's crazy for taking that. I think he's letting a good project go at Middlesbrough to a sinking ship, in my opinion. But yeah,
it's mad how many managers actually do that. Like, you're thinking like Postecoglou, like, why the fuck are you taking that job at Forest, mate? Like, seriously, you know what's going to happen, but you do it. I'm guessing is it money? Yeah, probably part of it, but
massive payout, yeah. But I think from those 5 games, I think United, there's a possibility of at least winning 3 of those games. And you're looking at Everton, and I know they've had a good start to the season. I think United can beat Everton. Palace away has always been a bit of a struggle for United. West Ham and Wolves, I think United can win those games. And then Bournemouth at home, I think that'll be another test. I know we keep going on about tests, but I think Bournemouth at home is another test just because of how good they've been.
Yeah, but this is a season of tests. Like, this is a season, like, we are absolutely still bang on target for what we need this season. We are absolutely in the hunt for the Champions League spots. That's all the season is. Like, we're waiting 1 week for a game. Now, fuck that. We're waiting 2 weeks for a game now. And also Monday night kickoff. So it is the longest possible international break that could ever exist. A Saturday early 12:30 kickoff to a Monday 8 p.m. It's like purgatory, this one. Man, not that I'm complaining about the international break or anything, but it is just a season of tests. I know I'm kind of repeating myself, but I think it's because we've almost seen like carbon copies of the same problems in two match days in a row. Both away from home, both tricky ties, both where United were in control. And like the first half away from home should be much harder than the second half because the crowd should swallow you up. But you could tell that Amorim was frustrated. You could tell that he's annoyed that this team can't see it through yet. I don't know when that comes. I don't know what changes it. Whether it is something that maybe post-January we get a new midfielder in. Like, I'll tell you one thing that bloody nearly happened. We nearly lost the youth record against Spurs. Obviously had a youth player in every matchday squad since 37. And we put Jack Fletcher on the matchday squad just so we didn't lose that record. I was like, because Cobby picked up an injury, didn't he?
On Bruno briefly, and I spoke about the spine. I don't think Bruno had his best game ever. If I'm being totally honest, that you guys might not agree with me, but I just felt like in this game against Spurs, he didn't go missing, but for a captain and for a leader to drag your team through a tough game against Spurs, I don't know if he was as good as I would want him to be as a captain. I could be completely wrong here.
I didn't even really have a conversation about Bruno after the game. I think the game probably passed him by as it passed by basically most of our midfield. No, it's a bit unfair, really. I'm a bit lost. I'm a bit lost after just the same stuff in these last two games.
You know what? I think on the surface, like, I understand why everyone feels quite deflated. It's 2 games in a row now where we've gone in halftime 1-0 up, conceded 2 quick goals, and not left with a win. But I feel largely positive at the moment. And the biggest reason as to why I'll say I'm largely positive is because I'm now starting to see the patterns. I'm starting to see the general play. The team is sort of like, we can almost say what our best 11 is, pretty much, in every position. Left wing back we know is an issue, but everywhere else we can pretty much say who the best starting player is there. And like I said earlier, it's the patterns that I'm starting to see that I'm liking now. For example, like, it's something that's so small, but the centre back direct vertical pass to the number 10. I'm starting to see that on a very, very regular basis now, where Shaw, for example, will play a quick pass into Cunha. Cunha will bounce it off Bruno, and then Bruno can play. I feel like we haven't yet seen those patterns, and now I feel like over the last sort of 6 games or so, there's little moments like that, or even like Amad and Mbomo. We're starting to see that happen as a pattern now. I'm not feeling like these good performances are one-off games now, and I feel like, if anything, it's short moments, lapses of concentrations that's costing us, not as much the overall performance. So, yeah, it's mixed feelings. I understand it's mixed feelings, but I do feel largely positive. And the next 10 are good. The next 10, we can get at a lot of those teams.
I'm not going to sit here like doom and gloom after the fact that we're undefeated in 5. It's just I'm a little bit. I just don't like mistakes being repeated. I don't think, and I think that's probably why I'm frustrated. Like, anything we were speaking about after Forest, you can pretty much copy paste into the game that happened the week after, which is a little bit annoying. And I was out in a pub on Saturday night after the game. I was speaking to a Spurs fan, and she went to the game, and I was like, "You were shit, weren't you? You were really, really bad." But she was like, "No." I was like, no. They were booing at halftime. They were so gettable, and I think that's why I'm annoyed. I think we let them off the hook massively. But we go again. A final little note, I suppose. I finished that game with 10 men because Sesko went off. For Ligt to come back, again, finish on a positive in that sense. But can United turn that into something else? Well, find out after the international break. We'll be back, of course, during the international break with some. Maybe we can do something different. I don't know. Have some fun stuff to talk about in the international break. All right. But if you enjoyed the pod, drop a like on it. Leave a 5-star review. And we'll see you next time.